Hi, my name is Akshay and this is Half Sleeves.
Let's train our generator, which is made up of encoder and decoder, to learn the second job, which is applying style to that preserved content. For training the decoder to produce Monet-like stylized images, we will use a GAN. First, we will add a binary classifier shown in green to our setup, which we will call a critic. This critic or classifier will be trained in alternate steps. We will know what I mean by alternate steps just in some time. This classifier is trained such that if it sees a style image which is a real Monet painting from which we want to borrow style, it predicts a single number 1, and if it sees the stylized image, it predicts a single number 0. We will get these style images by choosing a random Monet painting from a collection of Monet paintings. Remember that the critic is untrained at this stage, so we will have to train it to output 0 for the stylized images and 1 for style images. In critic training, it would be shown two images one by one. First, it will be shown a real Monet painting or style image. Let's call the output of critic on the real Monet painting as critic prediction on Monet painting. Then it's shown a stylized image generated by the generator. Let's call this output as critic prediction on stylized image. So the loss on stylized image prediction would be this, which is the absolute value of difference between 0 and critic prediction on stylized image, which in simple terms means how far away your prediction was from the desired result. Desired result is 0 because we want the critic to output 0 whenever it sees a stylized image. Similarly, the loss on Monet or style image prediction would be this, which in simple terms means how far away your prediction was from the desired result. Desired result here is 1 because we want the critic to output 1 whenever it sees a Monet or a style image. These two losses are individual losses for prediction on style image and stylized image. If you want the total loss of critic for prediction on both the style and the stylized image, it would be just the sum of both these losses, which in simple terms says how far away you were from the desired result at the end of prediction on both the style and the stylized image. So we will use this as the loss function to train the critic. If you're thinking why are we training this critic, it will all be clear in just a while. Now that the critic is trained, we will train our generator to produce Monet-like stylized images. Remember that it's critic's job to classify or differentiate between original Monet style images and stylized images. Also remember, 1 shows style or Monet images and 0 shows stylized or generated images. Let's say that the generator or decoder can create such good stylized image which looks a lot like Monet painting, and then we show this amazing stylized image to the critic. Now since the stylized image looks a lot like Monet painting, the critic thinks that the generated or the stylized image is an original Monet work and outputs 1. That means that the generator has done a great job at stylizing the input image, and it is doing it so well that even the critic thinks that the stylized image is an original Monet work, which means that if the generator is good at creating Monet-like paintings, then it can fool the critic and output is 1. If the generator is not good at creating Monet-like paintings, then it can't fool the critic and the output is 0. So we can use this action of how well have you fooled the critic for measuring how good is the generator. And a measure of how good is our network is called a loss function. So this action of how well have you fooled the critic can be used as a loss function of a generator or decoder training. And this is why we are training the critic, so that we can use it to calculate the loss of the generator. If we want to convert the statement how well have you fooled the critic to a loss function, we need a numeric representation of this statement, which would be this function, absolute value of difference between critic prediction on style image and 1. The lower this function, the better you are at fooling the critic. The lowest value of this function is 0, so this function will be lowest when the critic prediction on the stylized image will be 1. And when critic prediction on a stylized image is 1, that means the stylized image looks so much like Monet painting that the critic thinks it's a real Monet painting and outputs 1. So we will use this as the loss function to train our generator. Here, the green rectangular strip on the left shows the critic and the blue rectangular strip on the left shows the generator or the decoder. Remember that after the generator's training, the generator is clearly better than the critic, which means that it can produce stylized images which can easily fool the critic, but it cannot produce stylized images good enough which can fool a human. A human can easily tell that the stylized images are not Monet paintings. To improve the quality of the stylized images and to make them look more like Monet, we can train the critic again. Now the critic is more powerful, meaning that the generator cannot fool the critic. Then we train the generator again, so it produces better Monet-like images than it did previously to fool the critic. So now the images produced by the generator look much more like Monet as compared to previously. And now it is more powerful than critic. And this type of alternate generator critic training goes on until our generator produces satisfactory Monet-like images which even we as humans think are Monet paintings.